At 2:14 a.m., a man stands barefoot in a high-rise kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, telling a 911 dispatcher that the woman he went on a first date with has disappeared. His voice is calm, almost inconvenienced. He says she left around midnight after a minor argument. He assumes she changed her mind about him. He assumes she went home, but her iPhone never leaves his building. At 11:07 p.m., her location stops moving on the 14th floor. Her Apple Watch records her heart rate spiking at 10:58. It records a sudden drop 9 minutes later. He calls police more than 24 hours after that, and by then her phone is offline. The question is not where she went. It's why her digital footprint never walked out the door. Cut to black. On October 14, 2024, in downtown Denver, Colorado, 29-year-old marketing executive Madison Avery vanishes after a first date with a man she met on Hinge. Within 48 hours, investigators begin reconstructing her final night, not from witnesses, but from data. Madison Avery lives alone in a renovated loft in Denver's River North Art District. She works as a senior marketing strategist for a fast-growing tech startup. Her job is digital storytelling. Her life mirrors it: clean Instagram grid, morning runs logged on Strava, late-night Slack messages, weekend brunch photos with filtered sunlight and ironic captions. She shares her location with two people, her younger sister Lauren and her best friend Chloe. It's a habit formed from modern caution, not paranoia. She screenshots dating profiles before meeting anyone. She texts addresses before walking into unfamiliar buildings. She jokes about Dateline safety protocols but follows them meticulously. 3 days before she disappears, she posts an Instagram story: "Okay, Denver, convince me the dating pool isn't radioactive." It feels like ordinary frustration, the kind millions relate to. On October 12th, she matches with Evan Mercer, 32, software engineer, verified profile. Photos hiking red rocks, playing guitar, smiling beside what appears to be a Tesla. His prompts are witty but restrained. He messages first. Their conversation moves quickly but not recklessly. They switch from Hinge to iMessage within hours. She sends Chloe a screenshot. "He seems normal," she writes. Famous last words. Saturday night, they plan drinks at a rooftop bar downtown. At 7:58 p.m., Madison texts Chloe, "If I end up on Dateline, his name is Evan." She follows it with a laughing emoji. It reads like a throwaway line. It will not age well. Security footage shows Madison entering the Halcyon rooftop bar at 8:41 p.m. She looks relaxed. Black jeans, white top, hair down. At 8:46, Evan arrives. They hug briefly, order cocktails, sit close. The bartender later says nothing seemed unusual. No visible tension, no raised voices. They leave together at 10:12 p.m., laughing in the elevator. At 10:27 p.m., Madison texts Chloe, "He's actually cute. We might grab one more drink at his place." Chloe asks for the address. Madison sends a location pin. 14-story residential tower less than a mile away. At 1:53 a.m., Chloe texts again. No response. By Sunday morning, Madison misses a family FaceTime call. Her sister Lauren notices her location hasn't moved since the previous night. It still shows the same high-rise building. Lauren assumes she stayed over. By Sunday evening, Madison's phone goes straight to voicemail. At 2:14 a.m. Monday, Evan calls 911. He says Madison left around midnight after what he describes as a minor disagreement. He says she seemed upset but fine. He waited to call because he assumed she ghosted him. Officers ask why he didn't text her to check in. He says he did. Phone records will later show he didn't. Detectives obtain Madison's phone data through emergency disclosure. Her iPhone location services show she arrives at Evan's building at 10:31 p.m. Elevator camera confirms it. They enter together. Key fob records show Evan's unit unlocks at 10:34 p.m. There is no record of it unlocking again until 2:03 a.m., when Evan leaves alone to meet responding officers. Madison's device never registers an exit. Investigators next review Uber logs. Evan tells police she ordered a ride shortly before midnight. Uber confirms there was no ride request from her account. Lyft shows nothing. No taxi dispatch calls. Her Apple Watch data is more precise. At 10:58 p.m. her heart rate spikes to 138 beats per minute, elevated but not extreme. At 11:04 p.m. it jumps to 162. At 11:07 p.m. it drops abruptly. By 11:09 p.m. it records no measurable pulse. The watch remains paired to her phone inside the apartment. At 11:10 p.m. her iPhone locks. There are no outgoing messages after 10:27 p.m., but there is one incoming notification at 11:16 p.m., a text from Evan's number to her phone reading, "Did you get home okay?" The message is marked as delivered. It was sent while her phone was still inside his apartment. Investigators note the contradiction. He claims she left around midnight. Digital records suggest something final happened nearly an hour earlier. Detectives request building surveillance. Lobby cameras show no sign of Madison exiting the building. Garage cameras show no record of her vehicle leaving overnight. Evan tells police she must have walked out another entrance. There isn't one. Smart home logs inside his apartment show activity at 11:12 p.m. The living room lights turn off. The hallway light turns on. At 11:18 p.m. the bathroom fan activates and runs continuously for 47 minutes. Water usage spikes during that same window. At 12:03 a.m. his washing machine starts a cycle. When asked about it, Evan says he spilled wine on his shirt. Forensics later find no wine residue in the machine. Cell tower data reveals Madison's phone briefly connects to a tower south of downtown at 3:22 a.m., then disconnects permanently. The distance suggests movement by vehicle. Evan's Tesla telemetry data becomes critical. At 3:11 a.m. the vehicle unlocks. At 3:14 it leaves the garage. At 3:47 it stops for 18 minutes near a remote trailhead outside city limits. At 4:12 it returns to the building. When confronted, Evan says he went for a drive to clear his head. Investigators now treat the apartment as a crime scene. Luminol testing reveals faint traces of blood in the bathroom grout, not visible to the naked eye. DNA testing confirms it matches Madison. Still, her body is missing. 3 days into the investigation, detectives discover something they initially overlook. Madison's Hinge account shows activity at 12:26 a.m., nearly 90 minutes after her Apple Watch stops recording a pulse. The app logs indicate she unmatched Evan. At first glance, it appears she used her phone to remove him after leaving. But forensic analysis of her device shows the Hinge app was accessed from a web browser, not her phone. It was logged into from Evan's laptop. At 12:26 a.m., someone signs into Madison's account using her saved credentials. At 12:27, Evan is unmatched. At 12:29, her profile photos are deleted. Investigators realize the timeline has been digitally manipulated. The unmatch is staged to suggest rejection. They then uncover deleted Google searches on Evan's laptop from earlier that evening at 7:12 p.m., before their date even begins. Do Apple Watches track time of death? How long does phone location stay active after battery removal? The searches occur hours before he ever meets her in person. The narrative shifts. This is no longer a spontaneous argument. It begins to look premeditated. Detective Mark Reyes leads the interrogation. He keeps his voice neutral, measured. He asks Evan to repeat his timeline 3 separate times. Each version shifts slightly. In one account, Madison leaves at 11:45. In another, shortly after midnight. In the third, he cannot recall the exact time. Reyes presents the Apple Watch data. Evan says the spike must have been anxiety. He shrugs when shown the Tesla GPS logs, says he drives at night to think. When shown the Hinge login from his laptop, he pauses for nearly 9 seconds before responding. He claims she asked him to delete her account. There are no messages supporting that. Forensic analysis of his apartment reveals microscopic blood spatter patterns consistent with blunt force trauma. cleaned but not erased. A dent in the drywall behind the bathroom door aligns with impact height matching Madison's skull fracture later discovered. Phone extraction data from Evan's device shows a deleted note created at 6:02 p.m. the night of the date. It contains only a single line: "Don't mess this up again." Investigators uncover a prior restraining order filed by a former girlfriend 2 years earlier. It was dismissed. The pattern, however, mirrors escalation following rejection. The final break comes from Tesla's internal cabin camera, a feature Evan forgets exists. Cloud storage retains short clips triggered by motion. At 3:16 a.m., interior footage shows a large object wrapped in what appears to be a white comforter placed in the rear cargo area. At 3:48 a.m., the rear hatch opens at the remote trailhead. The camera captures only darkness and the faint outline of trees. Search teams deploy the following morning. Madison's body is found 60 yards off a hiking trail, partially concealed beneath brush. The medical examiner determines cause of death as blunt force trauma to the head. Time of death estimated between 11:00 and 11:15 p.m., consistent with her Apple Watch data. Evan Mercer is arrested within hours. During trial, prosecutors construct the case almost entirely through digital evidence: Apple Watch heart rate logs, Tesla GPS data, smart home activity, Hinge login metadata, Google searches timestamp before the date. The jury deliberates for less than 5 hours. He is convicted of first-degree murder. In court, prosecutors replay the 911 call. His calm voice echoes through the room. He describes her as someone he barely knew, but the final piece shown to the jury is simpler. A screenshot Madison sent Chloe at 10:27 p.m. He's actually cute. It is the last message she ever sends. Her phone never leaves his apartment. And in a city built on data, it is the data that tells the story she never could.